On today's podcast, we're going to jump into the subject of stepping up our leadership game. We're going to talk a little bit about things we can do for ourselves, for our teams, to be able to step up as a leader. I think there are kind of a couple different areas that I know for myself personally, and I've seen those around me and within my network as far as they begin to step up the quality of leader they are, how effective they are as a leader. I've seen them do a few different things. And I think the first thing that we can do is really begin to expand our network. Of course, there's that old line, our network is our net worth. But I think going beyond just trying to find people in our network which we're going to do business with, but finding people in our network that really can kind of help us become a better version of ourselves. And I think to be able to do that, we really need to kind of begin to expand who we network with. And kind of by the nature of the business that I own, it's kind of grown into one that's been a little bit kind of localized here to the Chicagoland area, to one that we have clients now all over the country. And a lot of that has come through just expanding my network. And it's gone beyond just the kind of just those I've done business with, but also those that I've really leaned into in order to become a more effective leader. And I think if we begin to expand our network outside of just our region, and not just beyond just those in our area, but also looking into different professions as well. Look to people that can help to challenge us, to bring on new ideas, different perspectives, and just general challenges overall. So I think if we're going to really step up our leadership game, the first thing we need to do is to begin to expand our network beyond just our region and in our profession. I think there's a lot of value to local meetup groups. I think there's a lot of value to leaning into those in our area as it relates to those in the same profession. But I think there's even a greater value as we begin to expand outside of that and begin to listen to people that maybe have a different perspective than we do. They're from a different part of the country. Or they're simply just on a day-by-day basis, just running different types of businesses than the one that we than the one that we operate. Number two, move beyond having mentors and have coaches that will hold us accountable. I think everyone should have mentors, people they look up to, people that maybe they read their books, they listen to their podcasts, they get ideas from them. But going beyond that, finding individual coaches that we can lean into that really can hold us accountable. Years ago, began to, and I think most of us have read about the importance of having a mastermind. And of course, there's a lot of masterminds out there, but I think if we're really going to even take it to the next level is really to get an individual coach or coaches that we can lean into to really help hold us accountable. About a year and a half, maybe about 2 years ago, I hired my first coach. And he and I get on a call just about every week. And I tell you what, it has been absolutely transformational for myself. And for those in my network, clients that we have that I see that are really excelling in the area of business and excelling in the area of life, have coaches. They have individuals that they're on the phone with or they meet in person with on a weekly, maybe it's every other week, but really somebody that holds them accountable, really helps develop them to be the person and be the best person that they can be, the best leader they can be. Coaches are able to provide timely feedback. They're able to provide individualized feedback. In an individualized plan to help you be the person that you really should be, the better version of yourself. Next, number three, shifting our mindset from focusing on profit to leading with passion and vision. There's so much talk about how do I get to profitability? How do we become profitable in our business? But you know what? I think if we're going to be effective and becoming better leaders, stepping up our leadership game, our mindset is going to shift from just focusing on profit to leading with our passion, with our values, with our purpose. And if we lead with that, if we truly lead from a position of passion, from a position of our vision, a position of what direction are we truly wanting to go, that energy is going to attract the people around us that we should have around us, both from a leadership end and a development end, but also from a revenue generation end as well. And so if we're leading with passion and vision and not just focusing, and I, like many other people in my space, we talk about how you need to know your numbers, getting into your numbers, and we've talked a lot about that in our particular podcast. But I think maybe even more importantly than that is to really understand and know what our vision is, to know what our purpose is, and to lead with that. To lead with that when we're meeting with clients, lead with that especially when we're meeting with our team, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But lead with our vision, with our purpose, and not always just focusing on just the profit. Number 4, spending time every day improving our skill set. I think we need to spend time and have purposeful scheduled time each and every day that we're focused on sharpening that pencil, focused on sharpening our skill set, to really focusing on developing ourselves as an individual. And of course, there's many different ways we can go about doing this. We can listen to podcasts. We can have blogs. Do these different types of things that we read with webinars. I know a couple years ago I had made a decision for my continuing education for my licenses. I used to kind of go through, try to fly through it, answer the questions just to get it done. But I realized a couple years ago that I'm spending my money on this education, and it is really directed toward my skill set, to find areas that I need help with. Maybe I need to be reminded of some of the basics and really spend the time just digging in and feeling like I'm back in the classroom, so to speak, and really learning what I need to learn to get the most value out of that. Now, if I'm on a webinar, if I happen to be in a room that somebody is speaking, that I'm very purposeful on deciding where I go, how I spend that time, and then getting the most out of it as I possibly can. And so we should spend the time and plan really on how we're going to go about each and every day sharpening our skill set. To be reading a book that's going to help us, to take notes, to journal, to do these types of things to help develop us. But to spend every day developing our skill set, spend time every day, scheduled plan time in developing ourselves as an individual and as a leader. Number 5, reflect each day on failures. So often we want to just kind of spend all of our time celebrating our successes, celebrating our wins. But this is kind of one area that my personal coach has really kind of helped me to spend time every day in answering a couple questions. And one thing that I found myself doing each and every day as I journal is I look back on that day and say, you know what, where did I fail? Where did I fail myself? Where did I fail my team? Where did I fail my family? And where did I not show up the way that I should show up? Where did I not make the best decision? And to begin to jot that down and spend that time. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, meaning I'm going to spend every day looking back on my past and where did I mess up? But no, for that time each and every day where I sit down, okay, this is where I didn't show up. This is where I didn't perform the way I should have. And then what did I learn from it? And if I go through and I think about these are the areas that I didn't succeed. Of course, we're going to jot down those those areas of successes and how do we go about succeeding and making sure that we want to repeat that roadmap. But I think if we're going to lift our own lid, if we're going to begin to develop ourselves even better, is we're going to sit down, spend a few moments. Okay, this is where I failed. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to develop a plan on how am I going to improve? How am I going to make sure that I don't fail in this way again? What did I learn from this? And then whatever I need to implement, to go ahead and implement from that to go ahead and execute. And say, you know what, I failed in this certain area. This is something I could have done better. Maybe there was a hiccup in my decision-making process. Maybe I didn't treat somebody correctly. Maybe I didn't operate in integrity in this particular area. And so this is what I'm going to do going forward to make sure that this doesn't happen again, so I can become the better version of myself. So reflect each day on failure. Number 6, and lastly, invest and train your team to lead clients through influence. So if we're going to lift up our leadership game, if we're going to be more effective leaders, now we're going to transition really into our team. So those individuals, I record here. Today I'm sitting in my conference room. And so once or twice a week, my team, we gather in this particular room where I sit, and we begin to really work through a lot of issues. And if I'm going to be an effective leader for my team, I'm going to have to really try to train them and lead them to understand that they are going to be leaders as well through the influence that they have on our clients. Now, how am I going to be able to pour into them in that way? And I think, first of all, we need to be vulnerable. And we need to be vulnerable as to our own leadership journey. Be vulnerable to our successes, yes, but also to our failures. Do they know, this is an area that I'm struggling in. This is an area that we're struggling as a team. How can we go about it and lean into them? Allow for them to provide feedback. but to be vulnerable is to your own weaknesses. Be vulnerable as to your leadership journey, and as we mentioned before, really lead in those meetings with passion and vision. I've been involved in team meetings, and a lot of times the business owner will get up, and the first thing they want to go to is talking about, oh, we didn't hit our profit numbers this quarter. This is our budget. We're struggling in this area. We need to cut cost here, and that just kind of really generates a lot of just negativity. Then the team members go through and they leave, and they're stressed out about hitting a certain number and not being able to you feel like they're kind of bootstrapped. But if you go into those meetings and you lead with your passion, with your vision, what you're excited about, what motivates you, allow for your team members to get involved in that story, they're going to be able to take that energy back to being able to lead effectively the client that you basically turned over to them to try to help your clients. And in my business and in your business, you can't possibly, if you have a business of any size at all, be able to effectively be able to make an impact on your clients, make an impact in your community, all on your own. You're going to need to be able to pour that into your team so they can go through and pour that into your clients and take that into the community. So invest and train your team, and that starts with being vulnerable. That starts with leading with your vision and your passion. Remind them of that. As you get into every meeting, remind them of the passion, why they're there. Remind them of the vision. And this is how we're going to accomplish what we're wanting to accomplish. And then allow for them to take that energy. Yes, you're going to have to spend the time, talking about here are some areas that we need to work on and doing that type of thing. And of course, it's very appropriate to do that. But I think that that's not the place we should lead from. But to really lead from a place of vision and of passion. Keep the vision in front of your team, keep your vision and passion in front of your clients, and always be leading from that area, not from negativity. Lead from positive energy, not from negative energy. This is Josh Belk with Belk on Business Podcast. Hope this podcast brought you some value. Have a wonderful day.